evening. Welcome to Getting to Grips with Google Classroom Parent Edition. My name's Andy. I'm the EdTech Guru. In my other role, I'm a practicing primary school teacher, but I've been using Google Classroom for about 5-6 years now, and I'm here to hopefully offer a bit of support for you guys this evening. So what we're going to cover, we're going to look at access tour of Google Classroom. We're going to show you how to add or create work. And then we're going to look at how to submit that work. And then I'm going to give you a few hints and tips to make life a little easier in your journey with Google. For most of this session, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to show you the Android app version, which is very similar to the iOS version. And I'm going to show you the web version as well. It's lovely to see so many people waiting today. If you give me a little shout out on the comments box, and please feel free to ask any questions on there, and I'll do my best to answer them towards the end of the webinar. Without further ado, let's begin. So let's start by sharing with you what this looks like. So Google Classroom is, in the easiest way to describe it, is basically a fancy way of getting information, files, folders to children without having to go through Google Drive. All that's on Google Drive is your files and folders. So it's just a nice looking version of Google Drive, really. So let's look at Google Classroom from the web. To get to it, you simply type in classroom.google.com. When you get there, you may be prompted to log in. And this is where the first stumbling block is for quite a few parents. Many parents have a Gmail account already. And when they don't, whether they don't know it or not, they've probably logged into a Google account on their Chrome browser. So it's really important at this stage that you then go to add another account. And you can do that by clicking on the icon or the logo for your name, and you can then add more accounts. So I've signed in as a pupil today, just so you get the full experience of what it looks like. So that's accessing from classroom.google.com. On the right hand side, we've got the Android app itself, so Google Classroom. You download that for the Android or iOS app. Download any of the other Google main core apps. So for example, Google Drive, Google Jamboard, Google Docs, Google Sheets, etc., etc. What's really good about that is if a student app is set work within one of these core apps, when you click on it on the Android app, it'll then open it automatically for you. So to add your account on Google Classroom through the Android app, once again, you click on the name and you're clicking on pupil 1 there. But if you wanted to add another account, you drop down to add another account. So that's logging in and navigating to classroom.google.com. The reason I put these next to each other is so that you can get a good idea and understanding how similar they look. It's obviously done on purpose so that they're familiar for you. When you get to the landing page of your child's account, you'll find any classroom that they're enrolled onto. For this one, it's the demo class, but for your children, it may be that they have more than one classroom, and in secondary schools, that's indeed the case with each of the different subjects. Before we go into the classroom, you'll notice on the Android app, there is a to-do list at the top. This is very, very useful as a parent and for children to see what work they've got to do. At the moment, you can see there's 3 assigned tasks here, and I've got 0 missed tasks, which is fantastic to hear. If I want to have a look at that to-do list, I simply click on View To-Do List. When you get into there, it'll tell you when they're due, whether they're this week, next week, or even later on. And sometimes your teacher may forget to set a due date, and they all end up in the No Due Date section. If you want to check that the child's doing the work, you can see the assigned, but you can also see what's missing, or you can see that pupil 1 forgot to end in one of the tasks, and you can also see which work's been done, so they have been doing some work too. To access this on the web, you simply click on To Do. What's really useful about this, if your child is assigned to more than one class, they're then able to access the to-do list for every single class. as long as the teachers set them as assignments and not announcements or piece of material. That's really crucial. So just like the app, you're able to then click on assigned, missing, or done. To navigate back on the app, you just click on the X. That'll take you back to your front page. And on the web store, on the web app, you just click on the 3 lines that I like to call the hamburger menu and click on classes. So let's take a look inside and let's have a look at a quick tour of Google Classroom. So you go to the web page demo class, you'll see I've got 3 options: stream, classwork, and people. Similarly, if I click on the demo class in the Android or iOS app, I've got my stream, my classwork, and my people. Again, very, very similar. The language is the same to really help the children access that work autonomously. So the stream, what's that all about? I'll just zoom out a little bit. The stream is effectively a social media feed for your child's classroom that they're attached to. In this here, you'll see any assignments that the teachers set. The children are also able to share and comment on certain aspects of this, depending on how locked down the teachers put it. And it's just a nice place to find all their work. Similarly, on the Android app, it's exactly the same, where the children are able to add class comments or questions, and yeah, pretty much the same. Let's head over to classwork. Now, classwork is the hub of Google Classroom. In effect, this is a bit like your teacher, the teacher of the children going, right, here's your work for today. And it's all laid out for you, all nice and neat, and the children are given that work. Just like I said, Google Classroom is just like Google Drive, where you're able to share files and folders. So on the classwork, you'll see that it's been arranged in 2 different ways. And this is dependent on whether your teacher is electing to do it by day or by subject. I just thought I'd show you both, just so you get a good idea. You see the top example is talking about the date, so Wednesday the 13th of January. This is really useful for organising the tasks so the children are aware of what's going on. And the second format is named by subject. So this one's called demo assignments, and you've got some assignments in there too. As I stated previously, all that we're dealing with here is a Google Drive with a Google Classroom front face, really. You can see this if I click on Class Drive folder. This will open up a new window and it will take you to the class folder on your child's Google Drive account. And in there, you'll see all of the work that's been set for your child. So if you're ever unsure about what work has been done and you're away from Google Classroom, head over to drive.google.com and you'll be able to see that work there in their classroom folder. You're also able to do this on the app by clicking on the hamburger menu and clicking on classroom folders. Heading back to Google Classroom, we've looked at the stream, we've looked at classwork. Let's have a quick sneak peek at people. There's not much to look at really. All that's in there are your teachers and your classmates. You're not really able to do much with them. It's just to make sure you're in the right classroom. Obviously, if your child's looking at that and thinking, I don't recognise any names, get in touch with their teacher. Let's head back to the stream just for the web-based version. If you look on the left-hand side, it's also got an upcoming feed. So it shows your child what's due and when. So I've got a task that's due tomorrow and I've got one that's due on Thursday as well. Let's head to classwork. Just like for teachers, classwork is where everything happens. And for students, this is the same. So you can see here that I've got a couple of assignments here, and I'm going to talk you through what these look like, how you can get the best out of them, and how to then submit that work. So let's take our first one. Let's have a look at our demo assignment with attachment. Let's click on it for both of them. You notice on the app version, it goes straight to the assignment. With the web-based version, it doesn't go straight there, and you need to then click on View Assignment to get the full details. So the demo assignment with attachment, and you'll see what I've done with this one. I've attached a document for each of the children as a teacher, and as a pupil, that you are then able to see, oh, there's quite a bit of work on there. Fantastic, good. Now, what's really nice about this is when a teacher does do this and they assign it to make a copy, you're then able to, the child's then able to access it quite quickly and easily just through the touch of a button. So if I click on this one, you see the demo assignment opens, and you'll also notice that pupil 1 is named on this document. So it names your child's files automatically for you. Just as I was saying about the classroom being a bit like a school book. So this is an assignment. The teacher set the assignment and he hands the book over to the pupil. Now it's with the pupil, the teacher's able to view the file. The teacher's able to edit suggestions, but it in effect belongs to the child. And when they finish that work, what they then do is give the book back. So they hand the book in, and what that does is give the teacher the editing rights again, but it also then relinquishes, it takes away the editing rights of the child. So they may have seen when the children have submitted work that it then says view only, and that's because you've sent it back to them. It's almost like you've handed the book in and you're no longer able to make the changes, you can just look at it. So a child will do his work. There we go, just a little short message there. Hello everyone. And then when you're ready to hand it in, you simply click on Turn In. That'll open up another window, and a little pop-up window will end up being in your face. There it is, lovely. And they're then able to hand that work in. I'm not going to click on hand in just yet, because you might have seen in the attachment for the assignment, there's also another document. I'm going to click and open that one now. So this is a demo assignment, and it says that I need to copy this document. Now this is where my first hint and tip comes in. If your child's logged into the Chrome browser and it says edit, I can then change that to copy, and it will then make a copy of that document for me. So you can then make a copy of it, make any changes, and then send that back in. Now that I've done the work and I'm happy with the work, the child then needs to send it in and hand it in. If you click on hand in, a little window pops up and it says hand in. And let's see what that looks like on the Android version. So for this one here, I'd click on my template. If I then want to edit that, I then click on the pencil. Google Docs would then open on my device, and I could edit the document. All changes are saved automatically, so you don't need to worry about finding that save button. And once you're happy with all the work, you simply click on hand in. So let's hand it in this time. And if I just refresh this page here, you'll see that this work is now being submitted. And what I can then look at, I'll show you how you could then view the document still, but you can't make any changes. So if I open this up now, I shouldn't be able to do anything with it. It should just be my document to view. So you can see here, request edit access has appeared. And because it says request edit access, that means it's been given back to the teacher for them to look over and give some feedback. So just going to close a few tabs there. Let's head back to the demo class. and look at some other work. So we've handed that one in, lovely. The teacher had put an attachment on for us. All the child had to do was open the attachment, make the changes, make the edits, make the adjustments, and then turn it in, hand it back into the teacher. Now you'll see on this second one, there's no attachment. So what that means is you're going to have to, or your children are going to have to add or create their own work. So this is simple enough. So it may be that you're working for example, if in England you're using the Oak National Academy, you've got the worksheets, you've printed the worksheets off, and then you want to get that work in. So let's look at the way you could do that using the Android or iOS app. I can click on Add Attachment. From there, I've got so many options, but let's talk through what they all mean. Google Drive, so that's drive.google.com, where all your child's work for Google Classroom is stored. You can add a web link. If they've made a video, you put it onto Google Drive, you can put a link in there. If it's a file from your device, you can put that in. You can take photos from within the app or record videos within the app as well, or you can create new docs, slides, sheets, or a PDF. Let's look at what Take Photo looks like. So I've got my photo up, that's one, lovely. Let's take a picture of that. I'm happy with that. Picture of a mouse, happy days. It's going to take a while to just catch up there. Whilst that's catching up, and it's added an attachment, on the web app, it's a much simpler process in terms of creating documents. Remember, for the Google Docs, Google Sheets, it really does rely on you having all the apps downloaded. So the web version does have its benefits. So we've got the assignment and we're ready to hand in. So let's click in, hand in. But remember, I'm not going to just yet because I want to show you how to do it on the web version first as well. So you can see on there, I've got the work's been uploaded. I can also create from here as well. You'll see there's not many options because there's no video or camera to be able to do that, but you still can do Google Docs, slides, sheets, drawings. So let's pretend the assignment was to create a fact file about Egypt. Let's say the child did it on slides. You click on Add or Create and then Slides. A couple of things that are really nice about this is that as soon as it opens, it appends your child, it puts your child's name on there. So pupil 1, it also names it for you. So this is, the assignment was called Assignment No Attachment. So it's named it for you. It saves a lot of effort for the child. It does that all for you behind the scenes, and it does save a little time. So the child will go into Google Slides and have a little play around with that, put their facts about Egypt on, etc., etc. And when they're happy, you'll notice on Google Slides and Google Sheets, there's no turn in button within the application itself. I don't know why, but it's just not there. So this is where you need to trust the internet. It saves it for you, so you don't need to worry about that. And then we just simply, when we've finished our edits, close the document. It's not lost, it's all saved in the Google Classroom folder, ready for the assignment. And once it's done, we simply click on Hand In. Now, a bit like the first assignment, I'll just show you that when I open up this slide now, I no longer have any edit rights to this. I can only view it. I can't make any changes. And again, that's a bit like I was saying, teacher is giving the pupil the book, the pupil does the work, hands the book back in. They can't make any physical changes, they can just see it. A child may be working on a document or a piece of work, and they may need a little bit of support. And there's two main ways of doing this through Google Classroom itself. The main one is through private comments. Private comments are on all of the assignments that are set, and it allows your child to have that communication with the teacher. Obviously, it's dependent on whether your school are okay with that, but where I'm working, I am using that daily to add comments. It's really quite useful. So let's say they need some help. So help. There we go. What that then does is send an email to the teacher, a notification to the teacher, and they're then able to then hopefully give some help back. Now, quite a few teachers use an application called Mote, which allows you to give verbal feedback to the children. It's a fantastic tool, and I'm sure there's also a way of pupils to give them not verbal feedback, be able to say they've received that feedback as well. So, what have we looked at? I've given you how to look at getting to Google Classroom using the web and the app version, a quick tour of Google Classroom. I've then looked at how to add or create work, and then we've looked at submitting work. The last couple of minutes before I take any questions, I just want to look at hints and tips to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to open up a new tab. Now, if I could do Control T. That opens up a new tab for me. Now, if your child's logged into their Google Chrome browser, and you want them to create, he or she needs to create a document really, really quickly, what they can type in is docs.new. And what that creates is an untitled document for them to jump straight into. Now, that works for Google Slides as well. So if you wanted to, they could type in slides.new. It also works for, if you're a big fan of Spotify, it also works for playlist.new. And more recently, if you wanted to create a new PDF document, you can type in pdf.new as well. Now, there's a couple of other things, a few more hints and tips. For me, as a teacher, what I love to see is attachments to the work. Sometimes a task will be set and they're asking the children to submit the work, but there's nothing there in it. And hopefully I've given you a few ideas about how that's quite a simple process, actually. My other couple of pointers really would be, one, encourage your children to use the private comment rather than maybe emailing into the school and whatnot. It's really good that they get that kind of digital citizenship and that autonomy to be able to do these things themselves. And on that, give the children the skill, the tools, and allow them the time to practice using those tools as well. So I know it's really tempting to say, oh, pass the device over here, I'll add the attachments for you. But it's really good skill for them to be able to do that themselves. Not only for if they're primary onto secondary school, but even secondary into real life when they're just going to have to do these things. Now I'm just going to have a look at a few questions on here. So I think Shri, my main man from Con Ed, a shout out to Shri there. Yeah, so question there. So let's have a look at that question. The teacher mainly uploads a PDF which is not editable and converts into a doc file, messes up the formatting. Yeah, it really does. It sends it skew with. Like Shri said, Cami Extension is a fantastic extension. If I make my screen a little bit bigger for you and turn off my logo, there we go, it's a bit better. You'll be able to see a little K up here. Cami is just a PDF and annotation tool, completely free for the very basic package, but that's all you'll need. And then you're able to manipulate that. You can add drawings, you can add text to it, and then you just simply download that document and then upload it to the assignment itself. Yes, Anthony, schools do need to push out tools to edit PDFs. Built into Chromebooks, there is a very basic annotation tool, but it relies heavily on pencil and pen, drawing or annotation, so either using your mouse if you've got a touchscreen device, doing it that way. I think, personally, Cami Extension is a fantastic one, so please do check that out and see if you can even just install it onto your own browsers in the meantime. Sarah, so I have a number of assigned work that I have turned in. Teachers return with comments I was such as say as falls under title missing, or if work done early it says turn in. Status says, whereas fall as So is this teachers returned with comments? However, status says where fall as a title missing or work done early. If it says turn in. With the missing thing, if it's essentially whether if you know you've done the work, the work will be there. I stress to my pupils in my class, don't worry so much about submitting the work. I can see it whenever I want to. I can jump into their work whenever I see fit, and I can see the work they've attached, even if they haven't clicked submit. So don't worry too much about submitting or the titles that append themselves in terms of missing or turning, etc. Don't worry too much about that. As long as they're doing the work, it's all auto saved, it's all in the right place, and the teacher will be able to see it. So Patrick, could you cover how the child gets a Google account, please? So I'm assuming what you mean by that is how do you get into a Google account? Let's just, what I'll do for that, I'll just go incognito for a moment, and you'll be able to then navigate to it, and we'll be able to log someone in. So go to classroom.google.com. Because I've gone incognito, this little landing page arrives, so let's just go straight into sign in. You then just sign in using your normal system. So if I remember rightly, sorry about this, just typing in the password. And there we go. Can't spell today. There we go. Oh, that should definitely work. Oh, there we go. Sorted. There he is. Then pop in the password. It's going to be one of those today, isn't it? Not going to let me in. But student would put their password in, and then straight in they'd go. And that'll take them to the landing page, and then logged into essentially that browser, so they can then access everything they need to. Is it possible to attach something if the teacher uploads the task as a resource rather than an assignment? Morning work needs to be written on paper, but there's no corresponding assignment task. Good question, Sam. Let me just stop sharing my screen for now. For me, what you could do, a couple of workarounds. If you wanted to send that work in, you could either take a picture of it and send it in through the share, through Google Drive, and share it with the teacher that way, pop in their email address. My thoughts would be, if the teachers set it to be a resource rather than an assignment, they're perhaps not looking for that work to be evidence. I'm not too sure. You maybe have to have a conversation with the teacher. If they do want it to be sent in, then have that conversation with the teacher and ask them to possibly change it to an assignment, so then you can definitely get that work in there. Could you show how a pupil is able to see the comments and feedback on an assignment, please? I'm pretty sure I can. Let me have a quick look. So let's go to my demo classroom, demo test. Have I done this one? Let's view this one. So to do that, to show you what it looked like, essentially what it looks like is, if I went to view assignment, any comments that are made on it would go in the private comment box over here, and then any comments that are made in the document would then appear as a comment on the right hand side. So if I just typed in hello quickly for us, the comments would appear in a box on the right hand side, and instead of pupil 1, it would be the teacher's name. From there, the child is then able to say resolve the comment or change the comment as well. They're also then able to reply, so they can say I've actioned that comment. Similarly, if they're using Mote, they'd then be able to then click on the little voice note and be able to listen to it there. So, is there a quick way to upload more than one photo attachment at a time? So, quick answer to this, I'm afraid, PC, and it's no. Within the application, with the web version, you're able to hold down Control and then select the different files you want. So you can then select more than one. But in the Android or iOS app, it's unfortunately one at a time, which I appreciate is quite time consuming. So yes, within Android and iOS, the answer is no. Within the web version, if you've got the whole document saved on Google Drive or in the file, you can click on Control and then use your mouse to add more than one file. Must say thank you to Shri to answering most of my questions as we're going through it. It's lovely to see. Thank you. Yes, I'm not sharing a screen anymore. Just taking questions. So if anyone does want me to share the screen, then please do. Carrie, the video will be available after this. I'm going to pop it onto the YouTube channel. So if you're accessing this from a different area, please do get in touch. That's not a problem. I just wait for a few, see if any more questions come through. If I just share my screen, I just wanted to show you quickly a couple of other things. If your child has been set up with an account and it is not a Department for Education England account, you may have emails turned on. Now, every time someone makes a comment or a post or anything like that, you get email notifications. So if you click on the hamburger menu and click on settings, you're able to tweak these slightly. So at the moment, this pupil will receive email notifications for everything. Now, you might not want that to happen, so you can toggle them all off and they'll disappear. Or you can tailor that, so you might just don't want private comments on work or due date reminders. The other drop-down menu in here is to turn email and mobile notifications off or on or off for a class. So if you're enrolled onto more than one class as a child, the child's then able to say, actually, I don't need notifications for this one or this one or this one. Rochelle, does the Google login need to link to the school? Do we set the pupil up with their own login? Yes, it does need to link with the school. So if this is all working on the basis that your school is set up with Google Workspace for Education and they've got a Google domain attached to that, and then what would happen is that information then get sent to you. Your child's login information was sent from the school domain, and then you'd log in that way. This is just Google Classroom. Google Drive and other apps like that, you don't need to have a school account or an education account. You can have your own personal Gmail account and your own access to Google Drive, etc. But for the purpose of today, Google Classroom, it's all about having that one that's set up from the school. The PDF converter is called Cami. I'll pop it on there on the chat for us. There we go, so it's Cami. Hi, do we have a way of editing a document where pictures are present and submit it instead of uploading as picture after finishing a work? Yeah, so a couple of options here. If you wanted to, you can open it up in Google Slides. So if I've got Google Slides open here, so with this, it's a great way of doing it. So I'll ask my children if we did a bake-off the other week, and I asked the children to submit their work through Google Slides rather than individual pictures. And what that did, it just saved me a little bit of time, and it saves them a little bit of time. So what I can do there is I can open up a Google Slide, I can click on Insert, click on Image, and then I can upload from the computer, or I can go to Google Drive, or if I wanted to, go directly from the camera. Then you can insert lots of photos, and then you send that one document in. It's a bit quicker than doing it through individual attachments. And Google Slides is incredibly versatile. You can change the page setup, so it's an A4 piece of paper, portrait, landscape, etc. And it really can just behave like a canvas for your children to work off. So I don't think anyone's got any more questions. However, if anyone does, please do get in touch with me at edtechguru, theedtechguru@gmail.com. Or you follow me on Twitter at the EdTech Guru, or you can obviously follow me on YouTube, and I'll be doing weekly videos highlighting everything that's coming up in EdTech, as well as parent solutions as well. So just sharing some of the things that are happening, just keep you up to date with it. Thank you, Shri. Does the pupil get a notification that an assignment has been returned? This very much depends on where your account has been set up. If you're from America, I don't know what the setup arrangements are, but I certainly know that if your Google account, your child's Google account was set up in England quite recently, it's probably they're not able to get an email notification. That's the way it works at the moment. I'd love to see a notification tray on Google Classroom so the child can, as a quick snapshot of all the changes that have happened. But at the moment, it's very much through just email. So if you get an email from Google Classroom, it'll be attached to the link will be attached to it. Just click through, and it'll either open up on the Android app or iOS app if you're on the phone, or it'll open up on a web browser if you're at home on the computer. Now, I must say thank you for joining me today. I really hope it was useful in some shape or guise. Yes, Lucy Mallet, could you remind me how to get onto Google Meet, please? So Google Meet is, if I go to my classroom settings, so Google Meet would be around here if it's set up for the child to join during that class. This one isn't at the moment because the teacher's not set it, but it would be just below the class, and there's a little link that appears. That link can disappear. The teacher's able to change to make it turn it on and off, and they're also then able to reset it as well. That's just in the purpose of safeguarding, making sure children aren't always joining a meet that no teachers are in, etc. But yeah, it should just be there. Now, if you wanted to go, if the child was due to attend a meeting and it's been set up in the calendar, they can go to meet.google.com, and that'll then give them an overview of all the meetings that are due that day. And it simply takes clicking in and away they go. Now, a couple of, if you're using the web-based version, if you want a quick toggle off of your mic and your camera, for the camera, it's Control D, that's Control D, and for your mic, it's Control E. So, sorry, the other way around, mic is Control D, and for your camera, it's Control E. They're just really quick little tools that your child can start to learn, and then it helps them in terms of that. If the teacher asks them to be all on mute, they know it's just Control D, and away they go. Right, so let's unshare that one. I just wanted to extend my thanks again for everyone that's turned up today. It's been great to have so many questions fielded. If you do have any questions, please do get in touch. But other than that, from me, I want to say thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.